Hi, this is Dina with Pretty Protective. Welcome back to my channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is talking about how to set up your very first budget, as well as how do you decide what is going to be cash envelope. Now I know there are a ton of budget channels out there and you probably watched them all, like I absolutely still do and definitely did when I first started my budgeting journey. And you're going to see some beautiful planners and some great binders and cash envelopes, and you know, yes, they're nice to have, but you don't need anything to start your first budget other than pencil, paper, a calculator, which could be your phone, and a desire to get out of debt. So I'm going to take you through some tools that I used when I very first started my debt-free journey. Because there really wasn't money in my budget to buy a cash envelope wallet or anything else. So my first envelopes weren't actually an envelope, they were a clip. And I learned this from Rachel Cruz on Dave Ramsey. And so she took these little binder clips, which I got at the dollar store, and I just took a Sharpie marker, and like this one was household. So that's how I separated my money. I don't think that's gonna focus for me. There we go. And then I just took my money that was household category and I clipped it together and stuck it in my wallet that I already had. So say for an example, this money was for household. I just put the binder clip on there and stuck that in my wallet. And then when I went to use it, I took the binder clip off, used it, and put the binder clip back on whatever I had. So when the binder clip was empty, I had to stop spending in that category. So it could be as easy as that. You can use a paper clip and a post-it note, or you can use a regular white envelope. I follow a YouTuber, Jordan Page. She is from the channel Fun, Cheap, and Free, I believe it is. And she would take the envelopes from where bills came in and just draw on there and say cash for groceries, and then she would write on the back of the envelope when she used money out of that envelope, and that's how she tracked her transaction. So you don't need anything other than a way to track your expenses and to keep your money separated. So the other thing that I am a firm believer in, and this kept me on track and still keeps me on track to this day, is a check register. You can grab a couple of these for free from your bank, and you're just literally going to write in, and even though you're not writing checks, which, you know, you may not even know what a check register is, because I don't think anybody writes checks anymore, very rarely, is you just put the date, the transaction, if you spent money, so say you debited from your account or you did an online bill pay, or if you added money, so it was maybe a payday, or you got money from a child tax credit, anything like that, that it's a plus, and you just keep a running total. So what I do at the beginning of the month, and I still do it this way, I write in our paychecks, and then I subtract out everything that needs to come out of that paycheck, as well as the cash that I'm going to take out for my cash envelopes. So I always know, you know, that I accounted for every single one of my bills, and then if I use my debit card, you know, kind of just maybe something billed to my account that I use PayPal or Apple Pay for, then I go in here and I write it out. So I always know what the balance is of my checking account. Now, it may look different online because things have not come out of my account yet, but I know by looking at what my balance is, what exactly I still have in my account. I do keep a cushion in my account because I've had things come out of my account that I was not prepared for. And so you never want to be in that overdraft. So a couple $100 just as a cushion in your account will save you a lot of nights sleep. The other thing that I started with was a composition book. So you can pick these up at the dollar store. Sometimes Staples or Offimax have them for like 50 cents. But you basically just need a place to do your first budget. I will tell you that it wasn't until month 4 or maybe 5 before I felt like I understood what my budget was about. My first budget month was horrible. My second budget month was a little bit better. Third was bearable. By month 4 and 5, I started to get the hang of it. So I laid out just a sample budget because this is kind of where you want to start. I do recommend that the month before you start, so maybe you want to start your budget in December. So for November, look at your transactions, look at your credit card statements, look at your debit card, look at, cash that you spent. Really track your transactions, because until I did that project, I didn't really know where my money went. Like, I saw the big things, like I saw our mortgage come out, or I saw insurance come out, but it was the everyday, $10, $20, $30 that I would spend going to Starbucks or picking up something at Target that I never really tracked. When I started to add it up, it really amazed me how much money I spent just kind of haphazardly, because I didn't have a place for that dollar. I wasn't accounting for that $30 or $40, whatever it would be. So, do yourself a favor before you try to do your first budget, and just track your transactions to really see deep down where that money is going. So I laid out this first sample budget. I'm going to bring you in a little bit. So the first thing you want to start with is your income, and you want to look at all your income. It could be income from your paychecks. It could be child tax credit. It could be child support. It could be spousal support. It could be, a one-time bonus or anything like that that you're getting. Write down your income. And this is a monthly budget. If you're paid twice a month, then you can divide all your bills by 2, or you can say, okay, I'm going to pay these bills for my first check and these bills for my second check. So in my example right here, income is $5,000 for the month, so I brought my total income down here. Then fixed expenses, I also call these my non-negotiables. So they're things like rent, electricity, water, insurance, and that could be car insurance, renter's insurance, life insurance. Those are things that you have to pay kind of no matter what. Internet, cable. Now cable is questionable. Can you cut the cable? Absolutely. You can stream on the internet, but you're going to have one or the other. Your cell phone, because really, who has a home phone anymore? And then if you have a child care. If you're working outside the home, this is a hard one to ignore. So you add up that. So in my example right here, total fixed expenses is $3,050. And again, this could totally be a different situation for you. I don't go to lifestyle yet, because we're going to back into lifestyle. Now, I'm not talking about sinking funds. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. The next thing you want to do is put all your debt down and the minimum payment. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to pay $100 for everything. But you really, in this example, really want to figure out what is the minimum payment that you need to pay on everything. Now, your debt may look very differently. For me, when I was getting out of debt, I had a lot more credit cards. I didn't have a car loan. I did have student loan. I did roll it into one, which wasn't a good choice. But there's a lot of times you'll have maybe an interest free at a furniture store where you had to buy a bed or something, or maybe you, have a personal loan to somebody, anything like that you have, write it all down and the minimum amount that you pay. So in this example, when I look at all the minimum payments, total debt payment is $1,300. So you subtract your total fixed expenses and your total debt from your total income, and that is where you back into your cash envelopes, which in this case is $650. Now, the more that this comes down and the more that you can really watch this part, the more you have to fund your, what I call lifestyle. Lifestyle is, as a starting point, can be minimized as you get that debt snowball rolling, or you get your income up, just to kind of relieve the pressure of having to be on a budget and having to really change behaviors. So the first thing that I would always fund was groceries. Now, I spent a lot of money on groceries, and I really didn't realize how much I spent because I would just run to the store. A couple things you can do to kind of minimize groceries. I know couponing is not fun. There's an app called Flipp. I'm gonna write these down here, which really does the work for you. And it just will tell you in your area, say you want to have, you want to buy chicken breasts for the week. You just put chicken breast into the Flipp app. You determine what stores are around you that you want to look at, and it tells you who has the least expensive item. If there's a store coupon, or if there is just somebody's having a buy one get one free. So what I do when I sit down to meal prep, I write down everything that I need. I go to the Flipp app. Let me pull it up for you. And I start to look at who has the majority of what I'm looking for. Let me go over here. I have a lot of, okay, here we go. So it's FLIPP. And then all I do, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I take all of the, let me go back to that. It has the Black Friday specials, the latest specials. So the ones that I chose that I normally shop at is Walmart, Target, Fry's, Bash's', and then Smart and Final, Bed Bath & Beyond. So these are all areas within a distance to my house, and you can pick which ones you want to look at. And it will have all the specials for the week. So say you want chicken breast, you just do search, you put chicken. So this in-store special is at Restaurant Depot. I don't even know where that one is. Food City, Bash's', Safeway, Albertsons, which is really the same store. So it will tell you what the best deal is, what the requirement is, like when it expires. So you kind of get that as a starting point. Then what I do, I go through everything that I'm looking for, and then the store that has the majority of what I'm looking for, that's where I go. Or if it's really just a great special on one item that I really want to take advantage of, then I'll go to that store for chicken, and then I will go to something maybe a little bit closer. The other thing is sign up for the apps for all the grocery stores freaking buyers. There are Clip It coupons while you're in the store. So when you're in the store, whether I'm at Safeway or Fry's, I pull up the app while I'm in store. I have my list with me, so that's the important part. Like, don't deviate from your list, because then you're going to spend more than you probably want to. But I'll go through and see if there's anything that I can add to it. Maybe it's on sale for $2 for these crackers. But if I clip the in-store coupon, that takes another $1 off. So I have saved, you know, $20, $30, $40 just doing the in-store clip it. And I always clip for the gas, so you can get 4 times the fuel points, and that helps to lower the gas bill. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's not like the old time where you had to cut out coupons and do things like that. So, you know, kind of just little tiny things that you do get into the habit of doing will pay off for you long term. So groceries is always what I do first. And, you know, say you're going to put $500 in groceries. So that means you have $160 for everything else. So maybe, for example, like you're going to say, okay, we're going to only go out to eat once, and that's going to be $50. And then you need gas, so you're going to put $100. Then you're done. So spending, entertainment, gifts, household, and giving isn't going to be funded this time. And then the next time you know, your electricity bill's less, you can put more money into your lifestyle. So the benefit of getting your debt down is that you get more money for lifestyle, and you can fund those areas a little bit more. So that's kind of how I back into. So my lifestyle is where I use my cash envelope. So I'll go to the bank and pull out this $500. Now, my husband and I get paid once a month, but when we were paid bi-weekly, I would split this in half. So I'd take $250 out of the first check and $250 out of the second check. And then I would divide that by the number of weeks. So if it was $250, it's basically $125 per check. And then I would just take my grocery clip, put $125, clip it together, and that was it. So that's how I started. The moment that made me get on board, per se, was when I calculated interest rate. So I'm just going to show you a really quick example of interest rate, and maybe it will give you the same kind of aha moment that I had. Now, there used to be a Total Money Makeover website, and you could literally plug in your debt and your minimum payment and your interest rate, and it would calculate this for you, but that is no longer. So I'm just going to teach you really quickly how to do this, and then that helps you to determine how you want your snowball to work. Some people do an avalanche method, meaning they rank all their debt from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate so that they're paying off the highest ones first. I personally did the debt snowball method because that, you know, smallest victory helped keep me motivated. Like, as I would go from 7 credit cards to 6 credit cards to 5 credit cards to 4 credit cards, it made me keep motivated. But that money that I was paying to number 1 went to help pay number 2 and number 3, and it really does snowball until you're making a bigger payment and you're seeing more rewards, you're seeing more progress. So this is how you actually calculate your interest rate. And I never knew how to do this. I would look at, say it was 22%, and I would just say, oh, 22% times my balance, that's a lot of interest, and that's really not how it's calculated. Only thing that you need for this is a credit card statement. This is my Capital One. I have never paid interest on this because I learned my lesson. But the things that you need from your billing statement is how many days are in your billing cycle. It's usually going to be 28 to 31 depending on how your due date is. You need your APR, which is your annual percentage rate. So in this case, it's 19.49%. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your interest rate. So in this example, it's 19.49. And you're going to divide that by 365, which is how many days are in a year. So in this example, 19.49 divided by 365, it equals 0.053. So every day that you have a balance, that balance is going to be charged 0.053. So you take your average daily balance. Now, if you look online, it will tell you to go every single day and add. So if you had $2,000 at the beginning of the month as your balance, and then you spent $350, so you would add that in, and then you would subtract any payments you made, and then you divide that by how many days in your billing cycle, and that would tell you how much you're going to be paying in interest. But for this example, let's just say your average daily balance is $2,000. You're going to times that by 0.053, and that's going to tell you how much interest you're going to pay for this month. Times 0.053. So your interest is $106. All right. Always check my math. Times 0.053. Yes. So if I'm paying $106 in interest charge on my balance, my daily balance, my average daily balance, because they're going to take, you know, the ebb and flow of your account, what you put in, what you pay off, things like that, and then they're going to multiply it by that daily rate. So if my minimum payment on this card is $100, because, you know, the minimum payments are always really low, so that they encourage you to keep a balance because that's how they're making their money, then my $100 payment isn't even going to affect my balance because they're going to charge me $106 at the end of the month, and that $100 just literally got washed away with my interest. So you can see where, you know, holding that balance, you know, even though you're making payments, you're not making traction. And that's why it's always better to concentrate on one thing at a time. So if you had an extra $100 to throw at it versus throwing $10 at everything, which isn't going to make an impact. But if I could put $200 to this, then I'm going to see $100, you know, well, really $94 less in my average daily balance. So this calculation I would do every single month. So I would sit down in my, what I called my budget book. I would put, you know, my credit card, the interest rate, what I paid, how many days in the billing cycle, and then I would recalculate what my new balance was going to be. And then I brought that down to the next line, and then I would do the same thing. So January, February, March, every month, until I knew when it was going to be paid off. And then if I slipped up and used the card, I added that back in, and then I started my calculations all over again. And then when I was done paying that card, that amount that I paid went to my second card, third card, things like that. So this is, I think, a really aha moment for me, at least, when I realized how much I was paying for something. So for an example, I would go to Michael's and buy something for $100. I would use my 50% off coupon, thinking, well, I'm saving money. And then by the time I paid interest on it, because I didn't pay off my credit cards at that time, it was ridiculously expensive. And sometimes I don't even have the item anymore. So, you know, this can kind of help you to get focused, but also to kind of calculate how much should you be paying, and, you know, is it really worth? When you get to the point where you can start lowering, you know, the amount of money that has to go out, then I recommend you look at interest-free cards, because by then your credit score goes up, and then your debt to income ratio goes down, and then you get additional offers that could help you to, you know, if you can transfer balance to an interest-free card, that just helps you to pay it off faster because you're not getting that interest payment. Be very careful with those offers though, because a lot of times it'll be for 6 months or 9 months, and if you don't pay it off by that time, then you will turn around and pay interest on that whole time. So I used to put a note in my calendar that says, okay, this balance transfer has to be paid off on this date, or they're going to charge me interest. So I always made sure I paid those off. So once you kind of get this done, then when you go to get your cash envelopes, the beauty of cash envelopes is that you can't spend more than you have. So I take my debit card out of my wallet. I don't use it. I don't have my debit card as my Apple Pay. So I don't have access to any of the money in my checking account unless I physically go to the bank. And the reason why I do that is I know myself to say, okay, if groceries are, I have $150 left in my grocery, but I'm at the grocery store and I'm not adding up as I'm going, and I'm not looking at coupons, and all of a sudden I've spent that plus, I can swipe my credit card, but that's not the reason why I do a cash budget. My cash budget is to control how much I spend in each category. The other part that, and it's hard in the beginning, it's easy to borrow from one envelope to another. And I will tell you honestly, I still do it. And then I, you know, kind of say, okay, gotta get back on track. But if, for an example, I don't feel like going to the grocery store and I've got $50 left in my grocery tab, and I go eat out, and then I'm spending $100, it's okay. The money's the money. Like, I'm not adding more money, I'm not spending more money, I'm not putting anything on my credit card. But at the end of the month, you can look and say, okay, well, maybe I need to lower groceries to $400 and I need to add more to eating out. I will tell you, when my husband and I first started on a cash budget, because he's always been a cash spender, I've never been a cash spender, eating out was my hardest category. It still is to this day. So, you know, I have 2 daughters, and at that time we were eating out a lot. We were both working full time, we were tired, and we would just go out. So instead of saying we're never going to eat out and we're just take that one out of our budget, we decided to be frugal about eating out. So the first thing we said was only water to drink, because, you know, you spend $3 on something you could have bought a 2-liter soda for. Or the girls would want things like appetizers or desserts and things like that. So we would say, okay, we're just going to have the meal and we're going to have water to drink. And if you want something different to drink, you can get that when you go home. The other thing that we did was we started to investigate places that had, you know, kids eat free, or Wednesday night special, or Thursday night special. And we planned our eating out based on those times. I still to this day pull coupons for restaurants that I love, that I know I'm going to go to, and put them in my envelope for eating out, because saving $5, $20, whatever it might be based on that coupon, that means I can go out more often, which is my ultimate goal. I would go out every night and never never eat food that I make at home. But I can't do that financially, but I also can't do that because it's not a healthy choice. Gas, we were really able to look at gas and kind of consolidate trips out, to not, like I would just jump in the car and run and go do an errand. I'd come home and I'm like, oh, I forgot to do this, and I'd run out and do it. So when we were really trying to bring this bill down, what I would do is I would plan out like all my errands. I'd plan out my route and what I was going to do. And then the next day I wasn't running back out again. So things like that, or, picking up our kids on our way home versus coming home, changing our clothes and then going back out and getting the kids, things like that. Spending, you really do need a little bit of spending. It could be $10, it could be $50, so you kind of have to look and say, where can we cut down so that we can have, I think it's emotionally hard to just never have, to go get a coffee or to get, buy somebody a little something or, things like that. So, as soon as you can, get something in spending. Entertainment, we did a really good job on just free entertainment. I mean, my kids luckily loved the park, so we went to the park a lot. For gifts, we would ask for tickets to the zoo or tickets to the science museum, as a family gift, and then we would go a lot. One year we got Disneyland passes, and we live, a 6-hour drive away. We would save up for the hotel and the gas and the food, and then we would go. We would go to the grocery store and buy food to take into the park. And then we would buy little like souvenirs at the Disney outlet store that's near us, or from Target or Walmart. And then we would just keep those in the car and we'd give those to our children while we were there instead of buying the super expensive ones that are at Disneyland. So every little decision that you make helps for your total. My husband and I had a saying when we very first started this process, is death by 1,000 cuts. And what that meant was, every decision that we made went towards the total. And they may seem like little decisions at the time, but they added up. And so, we got ourselves into this position, into our, debt position by making small choices that added up. So we would look at each other and we're like, death by 1,000 cuts, because, it was a trip to Target or a trip to Walmart or, school pictures that we forgot to budget for, things like that. So once you get kind of a handle on this, then you kind of want to start with sinking fund. So the first sinking fund you want is your $1,000 emergency fund. The way we got to our emergency fund was we sold things on eBay. And when I say we, it means I. We had garage sales. I sold things, all of the clothes and things that I bought because I really wasn't under control was good, because it brought me in money that helped me to build my emergency fund. So once we had our $1,000 emergency fund, then we really tackled debt. And then at the same time we were tackling debt, we started to look long-term sinking funds, like our car tags, if the kids wanted to go to camp, things like that. Then you start to break down to sinking funds. But sinking funds can be started later. Don't feel pressure to start your sinking funds right away, because honestly, you want to feel that you can make your bills, that you can buy groceries, eat out, go to a movie occasionally, things like that, before you want to worry about sinking funds. I personally have a lot of sinking funds because I like to know that when that bill comes due, the money is there, versus trying to recalculate my budget to put that bill in. But at this point, I'm so used to budgeting. I actually love budgeting. I love setting up my budget, and I love, tracking transactions, things like that. So, please let me know down below if you have any questions on kind of starting up your first budget. 2 pieces of advice I'm going to give you. Give yourself grace. You're going to mess up. I still mess up after years of budgeting, where you overspend in a category. I know I am a very emotional spender. If I'm upset or I'm mad, I want to spend money. If I have hobbies, I love to spend money on stationery, planners. I used to scrapbook, do Project Life. I could always justify spending money on supplies like that. But when you look around and you think, wow, I spend a lot of money on that, then you know, like, okay, emotionally, why am I doing this? Number 2, have an accountability partner. For my husband and I, he does not understand. Like, he is not an emotional spender. He'll save up for what he wants. He's definitely a saver. I'm definitely a spender. He, if I said, well, all we have left is, $20 in groceries, he'd be like, that's fine. We can find something, and I'm thinking, oh, well, there's no meat there or whatever. So, he was not necessarily as good of an accountability partner as I would have liked, because he did not understand the struggle that I had. I started my YouTube channel because I needed an accountability. So you all are my accountability. I know that I'm going to sit down and do a weekly check-in, and I'm going to admit to you all when I failed or when I had a win in my budget. So I'm not saying you have to start a YouTube channel, because a lot of people would be like, I'd rather not. But find somebody in your life that is an accountability partner. Maybe it is your spouse. That's great if it is. Maybe it's a sister or a friend or somebody who can say, show me the numbers, walk me through it, where did the money go, and how, where are your wins and where are you going to work on. This budgeting community on YouTube can be your accountability partners. There is an amazing amount of knowledge in all of the YouTubers that I watch, and we're all at different stages in our life. I'm at a very different stage in my life than maybe somebody else. And maybe that person, you're going to find a budgeter out there that just is very similar to you, has the same struggles that you do, or in the same budget or income category, and you're going to watch those videos and you're going to learn, and you're going to start to win with money. The other part I just kind of want to throw out here is I'm going to do a giveaway. I do have an Etsy shop, and I know that you're thinking, well, you sell these things, and I do. But I think what's really important is that when you're first starting to budget, that you have some tools in your tool belt. Yes, paper is great. Yes, a calculator. I still love check registers. I'm just in fear that I'm going to go to the bank one time and they're going like, we don't make those anymore, because this is my best and favorite budgeting tool. But I do a budget bundle. I'm going to raffle away 3 of these. And to enter the giveaway, it's very simple. You are going to, first of all, you need to be publicly subscribed to my channel, and that's so I can contact. Second, you need to drop a note in the comment section that just says, I'm ready. So publicly subscribe to my channel. In the comment section, put I'm ready, and that means you're ready to start. And what you're going to be sent is a set of 6 cash envelopes and the registers. These are transactions, so when you track your transactions, I color code mine. You could do it all one color for the month, but it's just a way for you to visibly see how the money flows out. I've always used a calendar. Now I use a planner, but before that I would just print out a Google Calendar and I would write in my transactions. So I would plot in when all of my bills were due, and then that way it helped me to remember, like, okay, this check is going to come in. It looks great, but it's really not mine because it's going to my mortgage, my electricity, my cable bill. So there's some transaction records. There's a couple different stickers. One, a no spend. I always goal myself for so many no spend days, and I try to always achieve that goal, because any day that I'm focused on not spending money means I have more money to spend on another day. And then marking paydays is really important when you're laying out your budget. So those 2 stickers. And then these are labels for your cash envelope. So these are the most common ones that we sell in our shop. And so you can label your envelopes to whatever categories you want to use in your budget. And then this is a budget sheet that I've used for years, and it's something that you can always request, and you can request the Excel version as well. And this is how I lay out my budget. So I write down my income, my fixed expenses, my lifestyle, sinking funds, debt snowball, and then you just kind of do the math that we did together. So my total income minus fixed expenses, lifestyle, debt snowball equals sinking funds, and the two numbers need to match. So my total expenses and my total income need to be the same number. That means I've accounted for every single dollar. So I put a template in there for you as well. And again, all you need to do is publicly subscribe, put a note in the comment section that says, I'm ready, and I will leave this open for 1 week. So today is Wednesday the 10th. So I will draw the winner on Wednesday the 17th. And I'm going to be doing 3 different bundles so that there'll be able to be 3 winners. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. And I look forward to hearing your success stories and that you're ready to rock and roll on this cash budgeting journey. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video.